My name's Ashley Waters. I'm an actor, MC, producer, writer, father, husband, all that good stuff. What have I been up to since I saw you last, or just in there? I mean, let me talk about the last 2 years. I suppose been a bit of a roller coaster. So we signed Bulletproof, which is our Sky One show that me and Noel produce. We signed it to Sky. Did a co-pro, a collaboration production with Vertigo Films. Shot the first season, came out, did mad numbers on Sky, did very well, and then we were kind of quickly greenlit for season 2. Straight after we got the green light for that, I started shooting the new season of Top Boy, which will be out in September on Netflix. So literally I finished shooting Top Boy after the first season of Bulletproof, had a week and a half off, and then went into the second season of Bulletproof, which I'm shooting now. And then looking to go back into the fourth season of Top Boy at the beginning of next year. Doing this season of Top Boy was amazing. It was good to, we had quite a big gap in between season 2 and this one. I think it's nearly 6 years. So it's enough time for, if you didn't know it, then you won't know it. You know what I'm saying? If you would have been too young, and another way around as well, I suppose. So I think what's been interesting about shooting this season has just been about kind of the fact that it's still in people's hearts. It's still for 10 years. It was nearly 10 years since the first season came on, and people are still anticipating the third, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of proud of that it's become part of culture. It's been ingrained in the scene, the show, and it means a lot to London and, the people from here. So I respect that. Obviously having 10 episodes this time, we usually have 4 in the first season. The second season is 4 each, but we got 10 this time. So it's given us a chance to introduce literally a whole new group of characters to the show. We've got the old guys in there as well, but we've introduced a lot of new elements, which I think is amazing. And what Top Boy do well, just as a structure, is that we bring in people that have never acted before, or never worked behind the scenes before, or whatever. So a lot of our staff and a lot of the new actors you see will be first-time actors, and they eventually go on to get agents and work in other sectors and other shows or whatever, which is a brilliant thing. So I mean, yeah, that's an amazing thing. But just storyline-wise, being able to just go a lot bigger with it. We're hitting different countries in this season, and it just feels bigger. It feels international, and I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy it. It's important to have first-time actors and first-time people working behind the scenes, but just because this industry can end up being, acting industry, entertainment industry can end up being the same people just running around in circles, the same people giving work to each other. And it takes someone to break the cycle in order for new people to come in, and that's why it's so rare for new talent to kind of come from the bottom and go to the top. So for us, it's a no-brainer. When I go into schools or I talk to kids or whatever, it's about explaining to them that the industry is the industry, and there are specific jobs in there, but you can, if you're an electrician, if you studied electrics, to train to be an electrician, to go into people's houses and change light switches, so on and so forth, you can actually come and work on a film set. Do you know what I'm saying? With that knowledge, so it's about telling people that you don't have to go for, if you can't act, or acting is not your thing, you don't have to be an actor. You can be a cameraman, you can be a sound man, you can be a spark, an electrician. We use scaffolders on a regular basis. Do you know what I'm saying? Art department, so that means clothes, dealing with textiles, like all of these different avenues into film and TV are available, and that's what we try and do, is just try and educate people that those options are available. You don't have to be the basketball player, you don't have to be the guy in front of the camera jumping around all the time. There's places for everyone depending on what you want to do. Yeah, I wear several different hats on a daily basis, to be honest with you. I mean, like my role, between me and Noel, I think Noel's been producing movies and TV and writing and that for years, pretty much from the beginning of his career, because that's the kind of the obstacles he had to overcome. It was slightly easier for me because I hit the ground running and I was working. So yeah, on this season it's kind of, I've made a point of making sure I'm more heavily involved in the scripts. So we have 8 episodes in this season. I'm writing episode 7. I've written episode 7. Noel's writing episode 8 and 3. And then we have a team of writers, a writer's room as well, that kind of chip in with the other reps and that. So we've kind of stepped up our game in that sense. But on a day-to-day, we are producing. We're constantly reworking script structures on set, helping other actors. And we have a lot of kind of new to the game directors. So they have directed episodes of other shows before, but kind of coming in on this sort of scale can be slightly difficult for them at times. So we're always kind of supporting the directors as well. Just making sure that they've got the right team around them and the right help that they need. And then there's the other day-to-day politics of logistics and just having the wardrobe department talking to you about how we're going to do this stunt scene, and they can't get doubles of those clothes, so we have to make sure we can't don't rip them in that scene because we can't get them back to how they were before, and that sort of stuff, and producing and budgets and making sure that we've got enough money to fly abroad and shoot where we've shot and whatever else. So it's full on, like we've taken on the full weight of producing really, and just making sure that the show keeps the tone of what we believe it should be, because originally that came from our hearts, you know what I mean? No, I don't think, and this is no offense to anyone else, but I don't think as yet people have 100% respected me as a producer, which means that, I have to work harder, that's the way I take things. So, if I'm not getting the reaction that I want from people in the room, whether they're up there and they produced before or not, my aim is to make them see, you know what I mean, what they're obviously not seeing. And that means for me is work harder and make my presence more felt, and just make sure I'm over it. As a producer actor, it's easy to kind of shy away from the responsibility of the whole production because you want to stick with your character and your role and what you're doing. But in this case, we're having to, on a daily basis, straddle both sides, which is difficult at times and hard, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Nothing worth having is easy. So at the end of the day, we're going to struggle for it. At the end of the day, in 10 years' time, I want to be one of those so-called, dinosaurs sitting there in the office, and other people are bringing me their scripts, and I'm the one that's kind of determining how far that script will go or doesn't, or helping them develop it or not. It's what I do, and it's kind of, for me, it's just been a natural progression. We've got so many shows in the pipeline, like that are going to different outlets and whatever, that over the next few years I think people will come around to the fact that I create shows, you know what I'm saying, rather than just acting them. But for now, I think it's just about proving that, and proving that track record. If you look at Noel's, I think he's produced 15 movies in his career so far, hands down. So he knows it inside out, whereas I'm still observing and learning, but I feel I'm a fast learner. It makes it easy for us being the bosses on the show. We've hired people that understand the level that we're at, and are going to divulge and give us their knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Willingly. It's easy to end up working with people that want to pull up the ladder and are not interested in kind of giving you the full information, so you're able to go and do it yourself. Because there becomes a situation where if you can cut out the middleman, then how do they get paid? You know what I'm saying? So you have to be very cunning about it. At the moment, I'm the silent but violent type. Like I'm the kind that will just kick back and listen to what's going on in these boardrooms and the meetings and whatever, in order to kind of prepare my mind knowledge-wise when it comes to knowing how to deal with things. But there are times when it's called for that you have to put your foot down, say what you feel and mean what you say, and and get people to come around to your way of thinking. But that's very rare when you delegate right, and we hire the right DOP, we hire the right camera operators, and people that we know that can give us knowledge and help us and kind of know a bit more than we do. There's a good saying, I can't remember who said it, but as a businessman, your aim should always be, whatever boardroom you go in there, go into, especially your own boardroom, you should make sure that everyone in that room is smarter than you. It's the only way you're going to keep on learning. So my role in Top Boy obviously is playing Deshane. That's first and foremost. Just as a so what happens is when you're on a show, especially a TV show, you have a list of actors, and they will be given numbers depending on where they come in the hierarchy of, you know, their character or the show. Obviously, my character is the lead character of the show, so I get number 1. But I quickly realized when I was doing Top Boy from the beginning that having that title doesn't just mean that, you know, you're the top guy. It also means that you are kind of the head of the department, head of the actors department. So there's always departments. There'll be a HOD, which is the head of the department, of every department, whether it be makeup, wardrobe, this, that, whatever. So I see myself as kind of the head of the actors department. And that means that when these new actors come in that have never acted before, you're kind of mentoring them. Do you know what I mean? On a daily basis, you're kind of encouraging them, helping them do things slightly better, or pushing them, giving them notes or whatever, especially where the director may be new as well or doesn't feel comfortable doing that or finding it more difficult because they know less. You kind of have to step in. So that's been a big role for me and Kane over the last 3 seasons, but especially this season. It's kind of just, you know, controlling our section and making sure people are doing the right things so the tone of the show is good. In no uncertain terms, you know, Ronan is a brilliant writer. He's one of the best in my opinion, especially in this genre. But capturing new slang, do you know what I mean? Just now all the time, or what the latest music is, or just making it as authentic as possible is down to us. It's down to us opening our mouths and piping up, because a lot of people that are behind the scenes maybe don't have that connection. So all in all, you know, it's a well-rounded job, and it's a hard one, you know what I mean? It's a hard one to do. Netflix are in love with the show, man. I think it's one of those things, you know, at the moment it's a passion project for them. We had a lot of help from our Canadian friend Drake, kind of pushing for us with Netflix, and in the States, you know, just how big the show is and kind of getting them round to understanding how big it could be. But as it stands, I think for Netflix, they're kind of in a limbo state, because it's a UK show that's being heavily funded and backed by the Americans. I think to date, the only one they've got like that really is The Crown, which has been their baby and their biggest show to date. So there's a lot of pressure at the end of the day when it comes to how well it should do, how well it will do. We're quietly confident about it, but Netflix have supported us fully, 100%. So, you know, I'm in talks with the execs in the States a lot. I talk to the PR and the marketing team a lot at Netflix over here, and I have a lot of strong links in the Netflix office in the UK. So the buzz is great. But that could, you know, this is film and TV, man. So the minute the show comes out and the viewing figures ain't what they thought it was or whatever, it can easily disappear quite quickly. But touch wood and fingers crossed, you know, we've got it on lock. So Drake's involvement in Top Boy has been pretty organic, and that's the way he kind of likes to work. I'm working that out now. So it kind of started with him just watching season 1 and 2 when they initially put it on Netflix. I think it was like 4 years ago or something like that. And he was just a fan of the show. Reached out to me, and we had a brief discussion about kind of how we get the show back, because at the time it wasn't commissioned and no one was doing it. And he just felt like it was weird, you know, like why it wasn't happening. It was kind of asking me why, and I didn't have a clue. I didn't understand the ins and outs of it. Long story short, we had a discussion about how we do it. I put him in touch with the right people for the show, and like a year later, there was a deal on the table from Netflix. So, I mean, if you want to look at it in that sense, he was heavily involved in kind of getting it from, you know what I mean, just being what it was to kind of putting it in the hands of the right people. After that point, as an executive producer, which he is, I think he's just kind of, he was willing to let us do what we do. I think the minute that all these Americans and all these other people came and got involved, it may diminish what the show was really about and take away from it being like essentially a London-centric show. I hate to say that because I believe it can be international, just like The Wire or other shows of that ilk. But we always want people to still believe that Top Boy belongs to them. I think it's important that the UK understand that this is our export, and this is what we're giving to the rest of the world. So we were always adamant between me and Kane or whatever that we didn't want to oversaturate it with. Do you know what I mean? We didn't want it to become a music video and we got Drake in the show and this guy and that guy and whatever, and it kind of slightly dilutes itself. As good of an actor as he is, I think it was essential for this season to just keep it smooth. So he took a backseat when it came to acting. There was points where he was going to be involved, but I think he made the right decision at this moment in time to kind of take a backseat. But there's always room for him to come in. There was actually a character that we had bubbling up for him to play as well, which I thought was really cool. So time permitting, maybe in the next season or whatever, he'll be involved. But other than that, he's just like a friend, a fan. Do you know what I mean? And not really a boss in the sense that he's kind of watching over us like, that's dead, do it again, and this and that or whatever. He's just kind of, just making sure that the ball keeps rolling and oiling the wheel. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I discuss this a lot with people, and they're always like, why are you not in Hollywood and whatever? My aim has always been it's always been part of my journey, part of the idea of what my journey will be. But at the same time, I feel like our industry, we've had this discussion already, that the industry here needs work. The infrastructure needs to be great or greater, more robust, and there needs to be more people behind the scenes. And I don't think that's where it needs to be yet. So I've always had this thing of, like, I will take a call. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be the fool to be turning down the next Marvel film or this or that or whatever. That's not what I'm about, like keeping it real and I'm staying in the ends or whatever. It's not that. So if the call comes, it come, but it just ain't come yet. But I'm happy to kind of go to the States as Ashley Waters that was in Top Boy, rather than go out there with my bowl out. Do you know what I mean? Knocking on everyone's door as to what I can get. So, I mean, maybe if the show does well or does as good as we think it's going to do, I think those doors will open. My structure over there is nice, management, do you know what I'm saying? My agent, everyone's working out there already and preparing for what is possibly going to happen. So I'm kind of all good with that. And also as well, I've always been a guy that I don't want to bust too quick, too early. I want to do the right roles for myself. And I'm very much on there's a competitive streak in me, and even a green-eyed streak in me at some points where I look at what other people's doing, and as fascinating and as big as it may be, if I'm offered it, I ain't doing it as well, because they've already done it. Do you know what I mean? I want to break barriers. I want to be a pioneer as much as I can. I've always been on the cusp, so when it comes to where you want to talk about So Solid, it was kind of the first of its kind. When you want to talk about Bullet Boy, started a whole genre of movies. Do you know what I'm saying? When you want to talk about Top Boy, it being as weighty as it was, and then Bulletproof being a kind of a new genre as well, buddy cop drama with two black leads or whatever. All of these things have been pioneering for the game and for the industry. So it'd be easy for me to run to the States and prop up in an episode of every show that's over there. But I'm trying to come out with, I want the announcement to be Ashley Waters starring as Blade in the new Blade movie or something like mad like that, do you know what I'm saying? So even on a smaller scale, forget Hollywood, you're only as good as your last project in this game, and that's how people view you. So you have to be, even if it means, and sometimes it has for me meant not working for 2 years and turning down roles that are pretty much the same as ones I've done already. That's what it has to be done in order to wait for the right one. That's going to get you the critical acclaim, that's going to make people talk, and potentially lead you on to your next job that will be bigger and better. It's going from strength to strength. It's hard to gauge like where you are in the rankings of drama schools in the UK, but I'd say that the demand is high for us. We're kind of inundated, and it's hard to even deal with the amount of numbers that are coming in. But just for people's knowledge, I mean, for us, it's, you know, we're not a non-profit organisation, but we hardly profit. You know, so the aim is to give education, drama education, to people that just want to try it out, but they're getting the same education, or as close to, as the guys that are paying whatever it may be, the 50 grand for a course at London Film School, or this place or that place, wherever it may be, RADA, Lambda, whatever. They're coming to our place and paying a fraction of that, but getting the same education, because our tutors come from those schools. So all of our tutors are in-work actors. They've left all these high-tier drama schools, or they're still there mentoring other up-and-coming students. But we feel that it's essential for our students to kind of be learning from people that they can respect, in a sense that they see them on TV. And also as well that, you know, that they've got the knowledge, they're coming from those powerhouses. Not everyone can afford to sustain and maintain an education at a drama school in the UK, especially at that level. So it was just about bridging that gap. Also, what we offer is the gap between when you finished our course and trying to get into the workplace. We have a lot of close connections with the industry, which makes it a lot easier for the students. Now, this doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to get a role in Top Boy or anything else when you come to the school. But at the same time, if you're good, the door is there, you know what I mean, for you to try and go for, and we can get you in front of the right people. And I make a point of, you know, that's my job with the school, is not necessarily going in and teaching classes, is going in there and telling people the reality of working on the floor, how hard it is, prepping them for auditions, tapes, and other sorts of things like that kind of I go through on a daily basis. So the school's working, it's going from strength to strength. We're about to open another site in Birmingham, hopefully beginning of next year, beginning to mid next year. And then there'll be a few more other sites popping up over the UK after that. But yeah, we're a strong brand at the moment, it's doing well. Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest with you, legacy-wise, I get asked this question, and if I'm honest, it's not something that I thought about. I think that's maybe because I really don't see myself the way other people see me. So I feel like I'm just swimming from this island to the other island, and I come up to breathe, but then my head goes straight back down. So most of when I stop is about health, is about mental health, is about physical health, and regrouping, you know what I mean, my foundation. But other than that, like, you know, I'm not really thinking about what's left behind. I mean, you do glance every now and again and go, oh, flipping out, right? You got a whole group of people kind of following you or whatever, but I think in order for me to keep climbing this ladder that I'm climbing, it means ignoring somewhat my success. I know a lot of people would disagree with that, but I just have this thing of the minute I start buying into what's happening for me, it ain't gonna happen for me anymore. The minute I start buying into my own success is the minute that I start either trying to overachieve, so I'm trying to recreate what I did before, which is a recipe for disaster, or I feel that comfortable that I feel like I don't need to work as hard as the next man. But, you know, as a 36 going on 37-year-old man, and being able to keep on reinventing myself the way I have, it's meant staying away from hype, to be fair. So I know you're not saying that about talking about the hype, but like legacy, you know, I don't know. Long and short of it is I don't know. I mean, I just hope that, like, I think my main aim at the moment is about business. I've spent many years being in front of the camera, not paying attention to what's going on behind, and missing out on the big checks and the big bags and them things there. But now it's just kind of about placing myself in a position where I get benefits from all angles, and setting up my kids' future. You know what I mean? So right, so the situation I'm in with Top Boy and with Bulletproof, you might as well say, is that for the next, I'd say 3 years, and that's me being modest, I've signed a deal for those 2 shows, so with Sky and with Netflix. And my life essentially will be film Bulletproof, a month off maybe, film Top Boy, a month off maybe, film Bulletproof, and and so on and so forth. So for me, that, you know what I mean, it's my life. Right now it's consuming my life. So basically it's coming. You can never say for certain, and the green light hasn't come yet, but we're working on script ideas, storyline ideas in preparation for the green light that we'll hopefully get when the show starts in September.